Okay, so getting back into our coverage over the X-Men, we're kind of now entering the idea of post-Operation Zero Tolerance. Now, with us entering this part of the X-Men coverage, you're going to see a huge change when it comes to the roster of the X-Men. And really, you kind of tell that this was Marvel just trying their best to keep everything alive for the X-Men, and not in a bad way. What I mean by that statement is that for the X-Men roster, it kind of been the same for a good while since the idea of the two different X-Men teams, a brand new X Factor team, Excalibur, Generation X. Like the roster was kind of the same for a good while. And so the idea of Marvel saying late 1990s, let's go ahead and remove some characters, but bring in new characters as well is a pretty good move for me personally, because now you have Dr. Reyes, you got Maggot, and you also now have Mara as well joining the team. Now, this storyline does kind of jump back and forth between two different things going on with the two different X-Men books, because we are covering the main Uncanny X-Men book. We're also covering X-Men as well. Now, as we get into the opening pages for X-Men issue number 71, we're really sitting down with the idea of us talking about, well, Cyclops and Jean Grey leaving the X-Men, but also the two characters kind of feeling nervous about getting on a plane. Now, the main reason why the X-Men are losing Cyclops and Jean Grey, because at the end of Operation Zero Tolerance, we had discovered that Bastion had put a bomb inside the body of Cyclops. And so with that happening, of course, that means the possibility that he was going to die. But at this point, though, the bomb has been removed thanks to Dr. Reyes. And really, for Dr. Reyes, she does play somewhat of an important role in the middle chapter of this video. But it's the two characters saying right now they need to leave the X-Men and kind of help Cyclops recover, but also kind of like a mini vacation away from the X-Men. Now, earlier I kind of mentioned that the roster is going through a major change. And here's the reason why, because in the early 1990s, we were introduced to this 14-man X-Men team roster. Now, over time, you would have different characters leave for like a short period of time, but they'll come right back. But in the late 1990s, you really had Marvel go through a huge change when it came to the X-Men roster. And let me explain. Rogue is right now kind of going through a lot. And the reason why, because she had just discovered that Gambit was partially responsible for the idea of the mutant massacre. And so when she found out that, you had Rogue just kind of move away from the X-Men. Not completely, but she's kind of like in the background. Now for Gambit, he's also gone. With the idea of finding out that he had a role in the mutant massacre, for the X-Men, they're kind of like, we really can't trust Gambit around the team. And you also have Cyclops and Jean Grey now leaving as well. So all those different characters kind of being pushed off the team, including Psylocke and Archangel, and you'll see here in a moment, like, well, maybe the middle chapter. But anyways, with all these different characters leaving, you have Maggot joining, Marrow joining, and Dr. Reyes. So three new X-Men have joined the team to kind of help the team out, and we're kind of left to wonder, how well will this truly go? But I kind of want to go ahead and shift over to Wolverine and also Storm, because for Wolverine and Storm, they do kind of express the idea that they're concerned about the new members of the X-Men. But really, when it comes to Wolverine, he kind of feels like they should go ahead and decline the actual offer they had given Maggot, Marrow, and also Dr. Reyes. Now for Storm, as we all know, even though it does truly bother her, she still wants to give them a chance to see what they can truly do. But for Logan, that is a complete no. Now, also for Logan, he hates the idea of Jean Grey leaving. And I kind of realized after reading all these different X-Men books, like, yes, Jean Grey loves Cyclops. Cyclops loves Jean Grey. But it's clear as day that Jean Grey loves Wolverine and Wolverine loves her. And Jean Grey would leave Scott if she could and get with Logan. I'm sorry. Like, it clearly shows that she would leave Cyclops if she could, because every once in a while, she does flirt with Logan, clear as day. But either way, you do have Cannonball take Maggot and also take Dr. Reyes into the city. Now, I want to shift over to Sebastian Shaw. Now, for Sebastian, we have not covered a storyline involving him and Cable, but for Sebastian, he's kind of trying to do all these different moves, bring back the Hellfire Club inner circle, also trying his best to make a profit off a possible cure of the legacy virus. And the list goes on and on. But then, out of nowhere, for Sebastian, he's then confronted by this mysterious character. And this guy was able to stop time to give Sebastian a note. Now, with that note, there's also a symbol, the symbol of apocalypse. And let's not forget, the dude has not been around since the Onslaught event. And technically, he was only in like 3 or 4 chapters at that whole event, and that was really it. And so now it's Marvel saying, hey guys, we're going to go ahead and bring Apocalypse back in the picture. Things are soon going to pop off for the X-Men. But we get back over to the X-Men. Really, we get back over to Wolverine as he has this conversation with Cyclops. And I kind of like this a lot because for these two characters, they're kind of like brothers, Over time, they have built a bond with one another. But for Wolverine, it's him saying, like, we can't trust these 3 new people to join the X-Men. Now, for Cyclops, he does bring up a good point. He's kind of like, dude, listen, when Charles Xavier had brought you in, I called you a wild card. I tried my best to remove you. And the thing was, you have proved me wrong, that you are one of the best X-Men we had over time. And I'd rather have you by my side no matter what. But it's also Wolverine saying, like, yeah, I was a wild card, but you still kind of knew what I stand for. The thing is, for Maggot, we don't know anything about him. Only Joseph, which is Magneto, who has forgotten his past, can vouch for Maggot. And for Marrow, well, she was part of Gene Nation, who are trying their best to kill off the human race. The only person who's right now joining the X-Men they could actually trust is Dr. Reyes. And that is really it. But for Scott, he kind of feels like even though him and Jean Grey are leaving, the X-Men are in good hands at the moment. Now, this storyline does take place after the idea of the heroes of the Marvel Universe coming back to the main Marvel Universe. And what I mean by that is the Avengers and Fantastic Four, they were pushed into a completely different reality called Heroes Reborn. So when it came to the public in the main Marvel Universe, they believed those heroes had officially died. But in reality, they were just in a different reality. But either way, it's now the X-Men finding out the Avengers and the Fantastic Four have officially returned to the main Marvel universe. But as we're closing the first chapter, we do kind of shift over to a character who's unknown to us, but it's this guy trying to deliver a package to Storm. Now, this guy is in Egypt, so of course, he's trying his best to get the package on the plane so that it'll get over to Storm, leaving us wondering what in the world is in that package. Now, while you have the X-Men out there shopping for a few things, the new X-Men, we're kind of given this idea that we can't trust Maggot at all. And the reason why, because there was this homeless guy who kind of heard something in the alley. When he goes down the alley, he is killed off. And we're kind of getting the idea that it's those small creatures that are with Maggot who had possibly killed off that homeless man. But either way, this all leads into the idea of where you're going to have Cyclops and Jean Grey leave the school of Charles Xavier. And you have everybody watching them leave. Now, while they are leaving, down in the basement area of the school, we do pick up with Marrow. Now, when we do, it's Marrow being confronted by Wolverine. And this is Logan saying, like, okay, fine. If you're going to be an X-Men, it's now time for you and I to have your first teaching moment, your first session with the X-Men, especially with me, Wolverine. So now we're kind of getting the idea of Marrow versus Wolverine. Now, I kind of want to go ahead and jump over to Uncanny X-Men issue number 351. And the reason why, because this issue is really more of Dr. Reyes trying to figure out, like, what is her next move? Like, what is she going to do when it comes to her life being on the X-Men? Because in the last chapter, you have the different members of the X-Men kind of say, like, hey, welcome to the team. We also learned that she helped Cyclops with the whole bomb situation. But fasting forward a tad bit here, we now kind of see that she wants to leave the X-Men. And really, that kind of makes a lot of sense for her character, and let me explain why. Because for Dr. Reyes, when she first appeared in the middle of Operation Zero Tolerance, we had no idea that she was a mutant until, well, a later chapter. And then you had Iceman appear to help protect her from a Prime Sentinel. My point is that when it comes to Dr. Reyes, even though we learned that she was a mutant, that Charles Xavier wanted her on the X-Men a long time ago, but she had declined his offer, he also did promise her that no one would find out that she was a mutant. Now, of course, unfortunately, people did find out. But for Dr. Reyes, she had no idea that she wanted to be on the X-Men. For her, it's kind of like, no, I just want to be a doctor. I want to help out people in the hospital. And so after Operation Zero Tolerance, you had Dr. Reyes stay with the X-Men, but now it's her leaving the X-Men. And really, you have Storm not even try to stop her at all, because Storm's kind of like, listen, you did help us out by help saving Cyclops' life, and that's great and all, but we're not going to stop you. If you want to leave, okay. If you want to stay, that's even better. And so you do have Logan be that guy to take her back over to the hospital. But once she does arrive at the hospital, this kind of leads into a problem, and let me explain. Because for Dr. Reyes, when she does arrive at the hospital, she's confronted by Dr. Gibbons. Now, for Gibbons, he knows, like, hey, she wants her job back. That's great and all. But the problem is that he can't really promise her her job back. And the reason why, because when she first appeared in the middle of Operation Zero Tolerance, she was at work at the hospital. The idea of the Prime Sentinel shutting out loud, Dr. Reyes is a mutant, means the staff now knows that she is a mutant. But for Dr. Gibbons, he's kind of like, listen, we have patients here. I have a staff here. With the idea of you being a mutant could put my people's lives in danger, but also the patients as well. Now, for Dr. Reyes, is her saying like, listen, I'm not a big time mutant, meaning that not a lot of folks out there in the world truly know who I am and what I am, which means most likely your hospital will be perfectly okay. And so for Dr. Gibbons, he's right now giving her a trial run. But while we have that going on, we switch over to Cyclops and Jean Grey. Now, for these two characters at the moment, they're currently on a plane heading over to Alaska for their vacation. But while on the plane, you didn't have Jean Grey realize there's something else on the plane with them. Now, this will come very important in later issues of the Uncanny X-Men. Unfortunately for this issue, we do truly focus more on Dr. Reyes being on the X-Men team. And speaking of Dr. Reyes, we do see her go through one of those obvious situations in this book where you have Dr. Reyes about to do surgery on a patient. The problem is that out of nowhere, she is pulled from that surgery. Why? Because somebody on her team informed the family of her patient that she is a mutant. And for that family, they really do express the idea that they don't like a mutant working on their family member. And Dr. Gibbons tell her like, hey, listen, somebody on your team did inform them that you are a mutant. So that right there is a problem, because now that means anytime she has a patient, they're going to tell them like, do you know that Dr. Reyes is a mutant? But even though Dr. Reyes is a mutant, it's still her saying like, I have people to help out here. Because as she walks around the hospital, she finds another patient who's just like dying in front of her. And so she has no choice but to go ahead and help out that patient. And so it really does show no matter what happens, she's very devoted in doing her job. But after all of that, when you do have Dr. Reyes try to sit down with people at lunch, they all move away from her. It's the idea that like, hey, she's a mutant. A lot of folks on the staff right now truly hate the idea that she is a mutant. Now, the whole mutant thing continues on because right after lunch, you did have Dr. Reyes be called in by another doctor, and that would be Dr. Loran. Now, for Dr. Loran, he was somebody who apparently hated Dr. Reyes prior to the idea of finding out that she was a mutant. But apparently, he needs her help. And the reason why? because their next patient is no other than Pyro. Now, it's the idea that because she's a mutant, most likely she can help this other mutant out. And the thing is, she can, but she hates the idea. The only reason why they called her because she is a mutant. Now, for Pyro, as we all know, in the early 1990s, he was kind of going through the storyline where he had the legacy virus, and he still does at the moment. But either way, he was shot. And I feel like his wound came from a storyline over in Daredevil. But either way, you do have Dr. Reyes go out of her way to begin the process of helping Pyro. Now, down at the docks, we do see that apparently there's some kind of shipment coming in. The thing is that in one of those boxes, there is some kind of creature that breaks out of its box. Now, we're not really told what's inside that box or what kind of creature it was, but apparently that creature is now out on the loose at the moment. Now, getting back over to Dr. Reyes, we see her be confronted by Daredevil. Now, when it comes to Daredevil, he came to her to get medical help because, well, he got shot. But the thing was, for Matt Murdock, while you had Dr. Reyes helping out different patients over time on her shift, you had Daredevil realize that she is a mutant, but a good mutant and also a good doctor. And so he does go to her to help get his, wound taken care of. But while you have Dr. Reyes treating him, it's also Matt Murdock beginning the process of putting Dr. Reyes on the right path. He's kind of like, listen, you are a doctor, and that is great and all. But the thing is, in this world, there are doctors everywhere to kind of help someone out with their medical needs. But there's not that many heroes at the moment. So why not try to use your abilities to help out people, but in a different way? It's him saying like, hey, you should go ahead and rejoin the X-Men because that right there is probably the best thing for you. And so once you have Dr. Reyes being able to treat Matt Murdock, you then have Dr. Reyes go ahead and free Pyro. And the reason why she freed him because once he is fully healed up, they were going to arrest him. And so for Dr. Reyes, she went out of her way to help Pyro get away. Now, once he does leave, you did have Dr. Gibbons fire her because of that. But for Dr. Reyes, she was going to quit either way. And the reason why, because she realized if she had stayed there, this staff, this job was going to go ahead and put her through so many hoops because the idea that she is a mutant. So you had Dr. Reyes officially quit the hospital and she goes back over to the X-Men. And it's kind of cool because at the end of this chapter, you have Storm there and you have Storm kind of like, oh yeah, I totally knew that you'd be back here. So welcome back to the X-Men. Now, as we dive into Uncanny X-Men issue number 352, we do pick up with Cyclops and Jean Grey. Now, for these two characters, they were currently working their way over to, Alaska by taking a plane for their vacation, right? But while on the plane earlier in the last chapter, for Jean Grey, she kind of realized there was something else on the plane with them, but she had no idea what it was just yet. Well, now, while on the airplane, you have another aircraft trying to attach itself to, the original plane. And for Cyclops and Jean Grey, they're kind of wondering what in the world is going on here at the moment. Now, the thing is, while you have our two characters wondering what's happening, you then had this one guy begin to freak out. And the reason why, because this guy believes there's someone coming after him. Now, you do have the staff on the plane being able to grab him and kind of begin the process of him calming down, but we're kind of left to wonder what in the world had freaked him out so much like that in the first place. Now, earlier, I did mention the idea that the X-Men are currently going through a lot at the moment. Like, the roster is changing a lot. And the reason why I said that earlier, because, when it comes to the X-Men, you still have them trying to rebuild a school after Operation Zero Tolerance. But you did have Archangel arrive. Now, Archangel arrived. Apparently, he did call the X-Men saying that he'll stop by to help fix the place up. But that was 2 days ago. So when he does arrive, you have Logan being very mad about the idea that Archangel is just now arriving. Now, for Archangel, he has also been going through a lot when it comes to Psylocke in the Crimson Dawn. Now, unfortunately, there was a miniseries out there for those two characters, but I can't really find it anywhere for me to cover. And so right now for the Archangel and also Psylocke, they're kind of away from the team. Archangel still tries to be on the team, but once you have Logan express how angry he is that Archangel, to his mindset, is basically useless, for Archangel, he's out. He's like, you know what? I'm not going to stand here and take this. And so he officially leaves the team as well. So just like that, the X-Men has lost another member. But getting back over to the plane, we do learn like who is trying to take over the actual aircraft. And that would be AIM, Advanced Idea Mechanics. Now, when it comes to AIM, what they're trying to do is find that creature. And apparently that creature or being belongs to two other people on the plane. Now, these two doctors who I guess own the being, while you have AIM confront them, is AIM saying like, you need to show us where it is at so we can go ahead and take it and leave. Now the two doctors inform AIM like you can't take it because the container was rigged to blow if anybody tries to take it without my permission. And so just like that, if AIM does try to remove it, this plane is going to blow up. Now, while you have a few things happening, you have Jean Grey being able to sneak her way down into the cargo area. Now, I kind of want to go ahead and shift back over to, well, the X-Men. The reason why, because for Cannonball, he does get a letter from Tabitha, better known as Meltdown or Boom Boom. Now, this could be the idea of Cannonball officially leaving the X-Men behind. And the reason why I'm saying that because it's her saying like, I want to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time. Like, let's just spend a few days together. And so just like that for Cannonball, he's out. He flies away. Now, I kind of want to go ahead and end the video on the note where this book ends. And the reason why, because I kind of want to say the whole idea of Wolverine versus Marrow for the next video as we do that storyline and one after that one as well. But anyways, when it comes to Cyclops and also Jean Grey, you do have the two characters trying their best to stop AIM. Now, while they're trying to do that, you have Firebird, this powerful creature that's locked away at the moment, being able to enter the minds of different people. Now, this is kind of cool because we do learn that when it comes to Firebird being able to enter your mind, it does bring out your worst fears from your past. Like, for example, the idea of Cyclops losing Jean Grey when she was turning into the Phoenix. Now, as we all know, that technically Jean Grey at that time did not turn into the Phoenix. It's a long story. But either way, you do have AIM try to leave. Now, when AIM does try to leave, they do clip the plane. So, of course, right now, the plane is beginning to go down. And so you have Jean Grey being able to properly talk to Firebird. Now, when she does, it's really more Jean Grey convincing Firebird to help out with this situation. Like, hey, listen, the plane is going down. Can you help us? And you have Firebird kind of like, yeah, you know what? I think I can possibly help you here in this situation. And so just like that, you do have Firebird use as many powers to help calm down the people on the plane, but to also help the plane land safe and sound on the ground. Now, after doing that, you then have Department H appear and they say, hey, you know what? It's now our job to go ahead and take this being away. Now, for Cyclops and Jean Grey, they're kind of wondering how in the world did Department H come back into the picture again? And they kind of feel like they should tell Wolverine. But for right now, they are going to go ahead and enjoy their vacation away from the X-Men.